Have you ever been told a story and didn't quite understand its purpose or what the story was really about?
Maybe it was because you were unfamiliar with the terms used in the story had way too much content, or the story was just unorganized and really hard to follow.
Well, there's some good news. This can be solved using the 7 elements of technical writing.
The 7 elements of technical writing are knowing your purpose and writing situation, knowing your audience and their situation, choosing and organizing your content around your purpose and audience, writing clearly and precisely, using good page design, thinking visually, and writing ethically.
Technical writing is widely used throughout the globe as a method of communication for fields like business and trade, government and law, and science and technology. Today, we will be focusing on the purpose and audience element and how it directly relates to the legal field. The purpose and audience element is used in technical writing to have a story written in such a way that fulfills not only its purpose, but also its reader's needs.
The 3 principles of the purpose and audience element are conducting research, choosing the content, and organizing the content around its purpose and audience. Research is conducted by using 2 types of research, primary and secondary research. Primary research is research that is gathered from information that is communicated with others. Secondary research is research that is gathered from information that somebody else has conducted. The next principle of the purpose and audience element is choosing the content. Content should be chosen around answering who, what, why, when, and how in regards to the story's purpose and its audience. It is especially important to keep your audience's needs in mind during this stage. Is your audience of a layperson and require background and definitions on the subject that you're trying to inform the audience about? Or are they experts and can handle mathematics and terminology of the subject of the field that you're talking about? The last principle of the purpose and audience element is organizing the content around its purpose and audience. Content can be organized in a story by one major topic that is divided into several subtopics, by time in a chronological scheme, by categories in a classification and division scheme, by mechanism descriptions for instructions, and by various topics using an outline. Now, I bet you're asking yourself, what does any of this have to do with the legal field and its method of communication? Well, attorneys use the purpose and audience element quite often during the course of their regularly conducted business. In fact, this element is a key component that is especially important during jury trials. A jury trial is usually made up of a jury panel, a judge, and a plaintiff and a defendant who have an issue of disagreement that needs to be settled. During the trial, each side has the opportunity to tell their side of the story to the court, and the jury, after hearing both sides, is given instructions by the judge to decide a verdict on the outcome of the case. A jury trial relates directly to the audience and purpose element because trial attorneys have to strategically tell their story by choosing and organizing the facts that are in favor of their client around the issue and the jurors trying the case. Trial attorneys use the purpose and audience element by conducting primary and secondary research, choosing their content based on the background of the jury and answering the who, what, when, why, and how of their case, and by organizing it around their case's theme and storyline. A trial attorney's research begins as soon as a client walks in their door. This is known as the discovery phase in the case. During the discovery phase, trial attorneys gather information using both primary and secondary types of research. Primary research is mostly gathered from face-to-face conversations, phone calls, instant messaging, and emails. Secondary research is usually gathered from legal resources such as online databases to retrieve case laws and statutes that could help win their case. The discovery phase ends on the day of the trial. However, the trial attorney's research does not. On the day of the trial begins with the voir dire stage. This is where jurors are selected by the attorneys to try the case. Before voir dire can even begin, all prospective jurors must fill out a jury panel form that briefly asks about their background, such as their occupation, their age, and marital status. Once these forms have been filled out, they are given to both plaintiff and the defendant in the case, and the voir dire process can begin. During voir dire, the panel of prospective jurors are asked a series of questions by both sides' attorneys involving the matters in their case. The purpose of voir dire is for both sides to get to know the jury and determine whether or not individually they would be a good person to sit and try their case. Wait a minute. What did any of that voir dire stuff have to do with the purpose and audience element? Well, along with the research gathered during the discovery phase of the case, the research gathered about the juror's background during the voir dire stage ties in greatly with how the trial attorney chooses the content for their story, the second principle of the purpose and audience element. By only asking a few questions during voir dire, a trial attorney can uncover attitudes of the jurors and even types of education or experience the jurors might have. This, along with the jury form filled out by the jurors, trial attorneys choose their content accordingly with jurors' attitudes and level of experience of the matters at hand. This helps them know whether the jury consists of laypersons and requires simplicity, or experts who require more complex evidence and support.
If a trial attorney senses they have a more sympathetic jury, he or she will focus their content on their client and on how they have been badly affected from the matters in the case. This, in effect, makes a jury feel sorry for their client and leads them in choosing a decision in their client's favor. On the other hand, if a trial attorney senses they have a more self-centered jury, he or she will focus their story on the other side's client and how their actions should be punished and taken account for. This is because self-centered jurors typically do not feel passionate about decisions that do not have any type of gain or effect on them. The trial attorney does this by including the jury in the story by referencing that the victim of the other side's bad actions could have happened to anyone, their mother, their child, even them. By including them as a victim in the story, it gives them something to grasp onto and feel compassionate towards punishing those bad actions so they do not happen again. Remember these? Trial attorneys also use this method when choosing the content for their story to make sure to include who their client is, what issues brought their client to court, why did those issues occur, when did these issues occur, and how the issues can be fixed. Trial attorneys use a third principle of the purpose and audience element by organizing the content of their story around the issues of the case and the jury. Trial attorneys typically organize their story around a theme that consists of a small phrase that defines their case. For instance, the effective theme used in the famous O.J. Simpson case was, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit," referencing the glove used in the case. By organizing their story around a theme and repeating it throughout their story in the case, it helped remind the jury of the underlying issue of why their side should win the favorable verdict. Trial attorneys organize their story using an outline that has a strong beginning and end. This is because jurors typically don't have any interest with being in court and would rather be somewhere else. Starting and ending the story strong gains the jurors' interest and level of attention to learn about the case and leaves them with a lasting memory of why their side should win. Well, there you have it, folks. The purpose and audience element is used in technical writing by conducting research, choosing the content, and organizing the content around its purpose and audience. Many fields all over the world can use this element as an effective means of communication to their audience. A great example of this element was shown today coming into play in the legal field during the course of a jury trial as trial attorneys strategically tell their story by choosing and organizing the facts that are in favor of their client around the issue and the jurors trying the case. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.